Welcome back to Christ Coffee and Conspiracy. We are Sheri and Leigh Ann. We're so happy that you're here. And today we are going to kind of bounce around a little bit. We're going to talk to you about semaglutides and Weight Watchers and the connection there, which you need to hear. And then we're going to get on to the topic of disease X. Have you heard of disease X yet? Because if you haven't, you're getting ready to. So sit back and enjoy the ride, and do not forget to like, subscribe, comment below, and share this podcast so that we get this word out to more and more people, because we are getting ready to walk into some very, very crucial times as we enter into this election season. So thank you for your support and enjoy. So I'm really frustrated because when I was in my younger years, in my early 20s, I actually tried Weight Watchers program, and it was the slow progression of weight loss process. Granted, in today's world, I'd never want to use their program because I don't necessarily think it's a healthy program for a quality of weight loss that someone might be looking for, with it being points based and you can eat whatever you want, and they have tons of processed foods on the market. But Oprah was in an interview in October of last year where she flat out denied ever using semaglutide, said she would never use them because she knew how important it was to lose weight by yourself. And then in December,
And what are semaglutides?
semaglutide. So think of the word Ozempic. So Ozempic is like the big buzzword for weight loss these days. And Ozempic is a semaglutide. And there are a lot of other semaglutides out there, Ozempic being the one that everyone's so familiar with. But I do know, unfortunately, I have a girlfriend that's taking them now. I was hoping she was going to tell me at lunch yesterday, and she didn't. But Ozempic or semaglutides are all the same. Ozempic is just the brand name for the most popular one, and it's the diabetic drug that was created to help diabetics lose weight and get their A1C under control. Now it's turned into a weight loss drug. It sounds like it might be a weight loss drug that's hard to get a hold of for diabetics, and it's going to do kind of what's happened with insulin, in which insulin doesn't have a bad rap for anything apart from just being overused. But it's become this fast, effective weight loss drug that people want to use for that purpose, and diabetics are now having a harder time getting a hold of it, and it's more expensive. It's so outrageously expensive. So here's my problem. Weight Watchers for 50 years, however long it's been out, 30 years, whatever, has always focused on, let's do this the right way. Let's get the pounds off the right way. And while I don't necessarily agree with their method, I agree with that concept. Like, you don't want to just force your body to lose weight really fast. It creates eating disorders. It's not healthy for your organs. It's not healthy for your skin. Like, there's so many disadvantages to fast weight loss. And I can speak
from sustainable either.
I did the yo-yo dieting. I did Atkins. I did the stupidest diets in my youth, like anything I could to lose weight really fast. And December of last year, Weight Watchers went public with the fact that they had partnered with a semaglutide company, and they were now offering a semaglutide as part of their packages for weight loss, which is just, I am so angry over that, because the pharmaceutical industry, and you hear Sheri and I talk about this all the time, the pharmaceutical industry has corrupted so many people. Now we can say Oprah's corrupted, because since that announcement came out, she finally came out and told the truth that yes, she was taking semaglutides through her vast weight loss that happened super fast, and lied about it on public television, whatever the interview was that she did, and then said that she didn't tell the truth because she was ashamed. Yet her company is now offering it as a solution for weight loss. Now, we did a whole episode on Ozempic, but Sheri, if you wouldn't mind just touching on some of the really awful side effects of doing a semaglutide to help people remember, and then go back and watch the episode. We'll put a link in the description below.
It was episode 1, and it is marked as with numbers on them. So just basically, I mean, once you start taking it, you can't stop, or you're not going to have the results that you're looking for. And so, and one of the things that I was questioning too is that, you know, should diabetics be also concerned about this drug? Because it does create stomach paralysis. It does, you know, cause issues with your constriction in your, I'm like totally losing my mind right now. Constriction in your bowels and so that you are not going to be able to process food. And people can die from that. It's just a matter of time, honestly. If your body can't function correctly in the gut area, that is the root of all your health. So that's just a short synopsis, really, of, you know, why you don't want to do it. You really don't go there. The only thing that I would say that I like about Weight Watchers would be the accountability, because I think accountability is really important. That's what I include in my programs. And I believe in a slower weight loss also, but I also, you know, believe in changing your lifestyle and what you eat. So that is, if you want sustainable, that's what you need to go for. Learn, you know, what is healthy. Points don't tell you what's healthy. They really don't.
No, especially when they tell you you can eat whatever you want as long as you don't exceed your points, because there's so much trash out there.
Exactly. I can have chocolate cake today, and, you know, I can use this many points. And I'm not saying you can't have chocolate cake, because the first, as soon as you say you can't have it, what do you want? But, you know, it's just like, that's not teaching really a healthy way of eating and living. So that's my soapbox. I jump off.
Yeah. No, I'm so frustrated over how much influence Big Pharma has, and more doctors are recommending this drug
and big names
to people.
Big names that are going to come out and endorse it. So what are all the people going to listen to? Oh, I love Oprah. You know, anything she does is just amazing. So it just brings, you know, it's bringing a lot of the evils together, I guess. Is what to say.
Well, that creates a perfect segue.
Yes, we have a lot of evil going on in the world right now.
We have so much evil going on in the world right now. Let's talk about one that's happening this week, actually happening this morning over in Davos, if that's how you say that word, that town where the World Economic Forum is meeting. So Sunday in our church service, our pastor mentioned disease X, which I had never heard of. And he said, be on the lookout for disease X. And lo and behold, this week, disease X is everywhere. How is that possible? And what is disease X?
Well, I love what you sent to me, because it says it's a placeholder for a potential virus that might be coming. Yeah, right. What do they know that we don't know? A lot.
Exactly. Well, and that's what I was telling my husband last night. So I looked it up on, sadly, there is a study, or a publication on PubMed about disease X. And they say that some people want to say that COVID-19 was disease X, or that Ebola, or no, not Ebola. There was another one on here. I saw another one last night, but nonetheless. So of course, this is coming from WHO, the World Health Organization. Disease X is anything that is an unknown pathogen that creates an outbreak. It's supposed to be caused by a pathogen X. Here's the kicker. Such a pathogen is expected to be a zoonosis, most likely an RNA virus emerging from an area where the right mix of risk factors highly promotes the risk of sustained transmission. So think back to the beginning of COVID when they said, be aware that your pets could transmit this to you. And then they shortly after that came back and said, no, you're actually okay. Your animals can't give this to you. My hypothesis is they are working to create something that your pets can transmit to create an even larger pandemic, because that's what zoonosis means, a transmittable disease from an animal to a human.
Interesting. Yeah, because I've heard some different things too. Lane and I remembered hearing a video that came out of the WEF. I think it was the WEF. Who knows? The WEF and the WHO are like, they're big buds.
They are.
They're one and the same, honestly. But the one lady, they were talking about COVID and how they didn't quite get the results they wanted out of it. And they were disappointed. And I'm like, what? You listen to these people, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
they're telling you what's going on. They do. And so one lady said, what does everybody need? So think about your kids are out playing soccer. What do they need? They need water. Water is a great way to transmit a disease. So that was what they said. And I'm like, well, pay attention to that. So we know how to create clean water. And yes, you know, so look into that. If you don't have something that will create clean water, please do so. I have a reverse osmosis. I don't know if a big Berkey would do that with virus or whatever, but
I doubt it's been
get
tested.
something that it takes out a lot. But you know, just if you have a distilling machine, perhaps that would help. Just, you know, make sure you have a way to have clean water. But that was one thing. But my question too is, in listening to a lot of the different videos that I was on X, is that they're calling it X. They don't know what it is, but they have a lot of information on it.
Yes.
How can that be if they don't know what it is?
That's what's so compelling about it all. They are creating, in my personal opinion, they are creating the hyper awareness. They are creating the fear. They are creating the just you know, that little thought in the back of our minds of what's coming. It is definitely a preparedness. It's a preparedness more so for the people who are willing to follow it than the people who are not. But I would be willing to bet if they do another shutdown like they did for COVID, which my husband is convinced that they'll never be able to get away with it again, and he could be right. But
I don't think so either.
If they
Yeah.
whatever the mandates is that they try, because they're gonna try and find a way to create this mass chaos, this fear in people, whatever this new disease is. And if you look at COVID, numbers are skyrocketing again this year, and the flu is way down. I've got a coworker right now who just sent me a message yesterday and said, I've got COVID. And I was like, well, at least you get a few days home. But so there's still that, there's, even with COVID, there's still that, you know, oh, this is a horrible disease. You got to put your face in the pillow and
Right.
you can't talk to anybody and you can't go in public and you can't do that. And I just think that whatever this new disease X is that they're cooking up in some laboratory somewhere is probably going to be, they're guessing. So think about this. There's 7 billion people in the world right now. And when I read the first article on Disease X that I read, it said that there was 7.1 million people, that's less than 1%, that died from COVID-19. That's less than 1% of the population died from COVID-19. So they're saying 20 times that many people could die from whatever disease X is that's coming. It's still not that many people. When you look at the grand scheme of our population, it's still not that many people. But if you think like Sheri and I do, and so many others out there, it is still a way to depopulate this country. And then specific genetics out, right? I mean, that's
Hmm.
really, if you look at the people who died from COVID-19, there were very specific people, very specific genetics that died from it. A lot of elderly. And why in the world would the governor of New York put COVID-19 patients in elderly homes? A lot of elderly people died. And it really attacked people who were obese. I mean, that was a huge market for it.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, those were the two primaries here in the US. I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but I know that that was the two
Yeah.
primary groups of people.
Hmm. Yeah. No, you're right. That's what it focused on. And anybody that has a lower immune system is going to have more issues, or if they have more, I think it was 4 to 5 comorbidities. So if you have something else going on health-wise, like cancer or type 2 diabetes, or, whatever, that's going to lower your ability to be able to fight it. What's interesting, what came up when you were talking too, for me, was that um, they are killing off the compliant people. It's the non-compliant people, the stronger people, that are saying no. And those people are going to say no again. And I think
Yeah.
that they're like your husband believes, I believe too, it's going to be hard to shut us down. Once they opened us back up, it's going to be hard to shut us back down again. And I think there'll be a lot more people fighting on that, which is great.
Yes.
I think the big thing was that I would say is do not comply. Whatever it is that they come out with, whether they want to mask again, whether they want to stand 6 feet apart, whether they come up with a new vaccine, whatever jab,
Yes.
do not comply.
I
Do
feel like
not
the
comply.
jab is going to be the thing that they're going to push. The masks have already been debunked. The 6 feet apart have already just got debunked. That just came out. If you didn't see, Fauci just recently, I think last week, said that that just happened. It was never anything that was proven that would benefit someone to stand 6 feet apart. What it did do was hurt a lot of businesses because nobody wanted to wait inside or outside of business because you couldn't get close enough to someone to close the gap.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
pharmaceuticals. I think it's whatever they're pushing, it's going to be through another vaccination because that went over probably better than they thought it would.
Well, one thing that, yes, I think I hear statistics of like 65% of the US took it.
That's a
I don't
lot of
know if that's
people.
true or not. That's a lot of people, especially when you eliminate children, because, initially there wasn't, a vaccine for children. And I don't think, I pray that not so many children took it. But when Bill Gates was asked about, will they be able to have anything that will knock this thing out, he gave a sinister little laugh. And I was like, we've all heard it before. And but his foundation has given money to this company that they've now created these little wafers that you can put under your tongue that act like a vaccine. So much easier to take, perhaps. Yeah, for people that don't like to have, be jabbed with a needle. But why do they already have something? Because this was in relation to X. Why would they already have something for X in, like being produced? Because in the UK, they're already working on something to combat X. How can you combat it if you don't even know what it is or be able to isolate it?
This is what requires critical thinking, right? You go look it up. There's zero information on what it actually is. It just is a concept that is all over everywhere right now.
Yeah.
But it probably is something that's created, and they're creating. You don't come up with a vaccine in a year's time, which is exactly what happened with COVID-19. All of it was planned, and the vaccine didn't work. They've come out and said that I lived next door to she wasn't an immunologist, but she worked in medical field. She was an RN and she studied infectious disease. That was for some reason, a big interest for her. And she even said during COVID, and I don't know if they ever got vaccinated because they did lean left, but she even said during COVID that the virus it will never stay the same. As soon as the virus, no, see, it's a living thing. So as soon as it starts to understand that it's not going to be able to continue to pass along and it lessens in strength because of a vaccine or whatever, it mutates. That's why there's been so many different mutations of COVID since the beginning. And mutation creates a stronger version until it hits enough people and it weakens it, and it takes natural immunity to weaken one of those viruses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then one of the things that I listened to too came out with these statistics. So I'm like, well, how do we have statistics already?
On X?
On X, yeah. So they're predicting, like you said, it's going to be 20 times worse than COVID. I believe more people died from the jab than from COVID itself. So I don't think those numbers were actually added into the amount that they were saying.
They'll never add those numbers in.
Oh, no, they're not even going to really admit it until they're forced to admit it. But people can go out and find that information. It's out there. But what they said is that it will kill 100% of who it comes in contact with, and that within 36 hours of it being out, it could kill 80 million people. And I'm like, how do you even know this? How do you know this?
It's like a nuclear bomb.
You know,
there's no way. I mean, did you ever read or see the movie The Stand by Stephen King?
No, I don't. I don't like.
I don't like Stephen King either, but this movie came out way back when Gary Sinise was really young and he was the main character in the movie. But it was about exactly that. It was about a disease that came out and killed everybody off in a matter of very short hours, except for the chosen few, and it was the good versus evil. But I mean, that's science fiction, basically.
Well, they always tell you what's going to happen, and they do it a lot in movies. And there's a lot of movies that parallel like exactly what happened with COVID. And so that's very interesting. And that may be the one that parallels X, who knows, or what they're trying to tell you. But I think you probably also know that they had, before COVID, they had before anybody knew about it, they had a planning period on how to handle the COVID, in the world. Well, in 2018, they've already had that for X.
Oh, in 2018.
So that was in 2018. So, and that was with, I can't remember. It was with actually at a university in the US. So how about that? And one of the things too that is coming into play, it is not in full effect yet, is us succumbing to the WHO. And whatever the WHO says to do, then we have to follow suit. And so a lot of countries have already come under that. So far we haven't. Biden's trying to get us into that. But that is part of this whole X thing and making it happen. Because if they can make us take it, or they can make us, because of the WHO, make us do these things, then they have, more control.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It's about control. It's about money, because they said the people that are in control, so to speak, stand to make a lot of money. I mean, if you saw how much money people made with the COVID, the companies.
Yeah.
And there was in COVID, and I'm betting that somebody will do this research. There's diggers out there that find all kind of stuff, But COVID, there was patents on it years ago for
Oh,
the
years, years on
vaccine.
that. Mhm.
Years ago, there was patents on it for the vaccine. And I don't know, interestingly enough, the number 666 kept coming up on these patents. So I don't know. What does that mean? And I think
Well,
maybe to give a little bit of hope, and I don't know, we're not trying to scare you. It's more about being aware,
yeah,
because knowledge is power, and being able to be ready for things. But the other thing I would say is whenever a poison is made, there's always an antidote.
yeah,
So think
that's
about
true.
that.
That's
Think
true.
about it. And the antidote still may be, ivermectin HCQ, plus keeping your immune system high.
Mhm.
Your body, created by God, it
Mhm.
has the power to fight off all of these things if we give it what it needs.
Yep.
So,
And a good way to keep your immune system high is to watch what you put in your body, because the processed foods are designed to make you sick. So just keep that in mind. Um, and do your own research. Here's the interesting thing that I feel that I was fascinated by. They're gonna push the agenda of X. It's already started. You can do a disease X Google search, and there are so many headlines. Newsweek was the first one that I read, and I don't pay attention to major media because I know it's all lies. But here's the interesting thing. Even on Newsweek, because I sent you a snapshot of it yesterday, even on
mhm.
Newsweek, it's right there. They talk about disease X being a concept, being something that could happen, something that we need to be prepared for. So it's not in existence yet, but I would be willing to bet that by the end of this year, especially because it's an election year and especially because Trump is probably our primary, I would be willing to bet that that disease hits the streets before the end of this year. They're going to send us into full chaos when it comes time for election
Mhm.
and make it hard.
Yeah, I would say that it's going to come in before the elections. It's probably, I would say, probably more spring, summer, maybe.
Early summer, I'd like to be moved before
Reason,
then.
hmm the reason being is that the biggest way for them to cheat in the election, one of the many ways, but is the ballots.
Mhm.
Whoa. And so if they can, have those ballots come in, the people are the mail-in ballots is what I'm talking about. And if your state still allows you to do it, which most of them do, that's what they're going to, lean you toward, is to don't leave your house,
Yeah.
kind of like they did with COVID. Don't leave your house. It's not safe. Mail in your ballot. And that's how they manipulate a lot of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just another area of interest for me, because they do go hand in hand, the health and the elections, if we don't
Yeah.
take both of them into control. So,
And if I understand, I have not done my own research on this, but I've heard from multiple sources that if you go back and look at the history of a lot of the viruses that have launched, they launched during an election season.
they
So
do. Yeah. I'll see if I can find an infographic for you, because it's like every 2 years, boom, boom, boom. And those are election years.
yeah,
Because all of them.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So I mean, just we don't expect everyone to put on a tinfoil hat, but what we do ask is that you don't let the media suck you into believing everything that they say, because most of it is not going to be true. Most of it is going to be designed to make you comply, because the compliance requirements are going to be right around the corner with them talking about this disease X already. It's a sick game, and it's designed to keep us under the thumb. The other thing that I would like to suggest, and I am not suggesting that this is going to happen this year or even next year, but dictatorship is something that is being pushed around the world through a lot of these global pandemic thoughts and concepts. And many of the dictators in the past knew that the best way to get people to listen to them and be under their control was through food deprivation. So
Mm.
Get some food, stock up. As soon as we move to California, I have every intention of getting ready-made meals and starting to stock up. I don't necessarily, like I said, I don't necessarily think it's going to happen now. We still have some democracy left in this country, but I do think that that's what they're planning. I think that that's what the ultimate goal is, to have us all under the thumb on it I mean, the Bible even says that that's what's supposed to happen. And we are definitely in end times. So preparedness never hurt anybody.
Nope. Nope. It doesn't hurt. And, if you have a green thumb, do grow your food. Get into groups where, each of you are growing different things. That can be helpful. Know your farmers, your local farmers, because, that may be where you get your meat sources. It might be, where you get some of your vegetables, but, start getting to know people again.
Yeah.
I know in one of my groups, they talk about creating victory gardens. So that may be, what we need to do, just get creative and be prepared. You can never be too prepared. It's food, just cycle it, watch the dates, use it. You don't have to buy anything special. There's a lot of canned food out there you can use. So.
Did you see? I haven't. I need to find it again. Did you see that there was an Amish man that recently got raided and they took all of his food?
No, I did not see that, and I'm not surprised either.
Yeah. The Amish do not do anything in compliance with the government. None of the children are vaccinated. And they do grow their own food and their own meat. And they have, excuse me, they have 0 autistic children in their community. They have 0 diabetes, 0 ADHD. They have none of the autoimmune diseases that we have in pop culture. And so I need to look it up. I see if an article about why he got raided, but yeah, they took his food.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Drop that link below. We'll drop some links below of the things that we've heard and read, so you can listen or read some things about X and, formulate your own opinions. But do educate yourself in what's going on. Know that it's there, and that they're going to try again. We know they're going to try again. They'd already told us that. COVID was actually just a trial. I heard them say that too. It was just a trial. So they wanted to see what we would do, what the outcome would be of that. So we know that they're going to try again.
Fauci even announced that 2024 we would have another virus. So way back when.
He announced the one for that was going to happen in 2019, 2020 with Trump. He said that.
Well, there you go.
Trump is going to experience, or this administration is going to experience. So, how do they know that? How do they know?
I don't know. So here they arrested that farmer for refusing to comply with USDA regulations. He sold his raw milk, his raw eggs.
Or
where'd it go? Oh, there it is. He sold all sorts of foods to his buyers, such as organic eggs, raw milk, grass-fed beef, and cheese, and fresh produce. And he's looking at prison time and fines because he didn't follow USDA regulations. And so I do know, like in the state of Alaska, you can't buy any raw dairy unless you own a cow. But in California, you can. So it's just, yeah.
California is interesting.
I know.
They have a lot of lockdowns on things, and then health-wise, they have a lot of perks. So they fight a lot of things. So it's interesting.
It is interesting. But there you go. No hormones, no pesticides in their meat and cheese. And the guy's gonna be in trouble because he was selling it. I'm sure that's why he's in trouble for selling it. It's probably not legal to sell it in Pennsylvania. But
yeah,
much like here.
Yeah. Was he selling it outside of his community, or was he?
I'm not going to sit here and read the whole article. I will drop this article though
No.
in the
Yeah.
description, because I mean, nonetheless, yeah, I guess if he was selling it outside of the
It's
Amish,
just wrong.
he could be in trouble for it. But yeah, I'm just curious. Still, I mean, find the guy, but put him in prison? Come on. There's murderers getting out of prison every day right now that are killing people again. It's
Yeah.
just,
And he's actually trying to save people by feeding them something healthy, so
yeah.
that your body knows what to do with. So let's yeah.
Oh, here is a really good thing I saw the other day, and I posted this on Instagram on my stories and said this is a really good time to be a Christian. So I'm going to end on a very Christian thing that's off topic, but still very important. A man in Canada who was arrested for brutally molesting a little boy. I think the little boy was autistic too, but he performed bestiality on this kiddo. And he went to jail for a year, I think. Nonetheless, he just got out of jail. Judge said he has time served and he's on probation for a couple of years, right? So there's this disgusting pedophile walking the streets again after brutalizing this little boy. They have a pastor in Canada who is facing life in prison for opening his church during COVID.
Yep. Yeah, they do.
And when I say it's a good time to be a Christian, I say that from the perspective of we are in the end times. And if we aren't fighting for our faith and standing up for Jesus, we are not going to get raptured. And y'all, I don't want to be here during the tribulation. So stay strong in your faith. Don't let persecution scare you, because it's here. It's bad. And granted, that is another country, but it's just north of us. Well, west of me, north of you.
It can be here. So, I mean,
yeah, if
things don't change, I mean, we're sitting on the edge of really having a dictator anyway. So, yeah.
So I just throw that out there because I want people to not be afraid, to stay strong in your values and stay strong in your faith. And since we do want to make sure that we talk about Christ, that's the one thing that I just want to make sure that you feel confident in, is being strong in your faith. So I would go to prison for the rest of my life for following Jesus. I wouldn't say gladly, but I would do it.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll drop some articles on X down in the comments or in the description below. We'll also see if we can find some information on Weight Watchers teaming up with Semaglutides, just so you have that, so you can read about it. Especially if you're like in mine and Sheri's age bracket, where you look at Weight Watchers as something that was really good back in your day, and then you see this. It's just baffling to me. Absolutely baffling to me. So, and then let us know in the comment section below if you have information that maybe we didn't get in here on disease X in particular, because the more information we can spread, the better. And you were saying something. What did you start to say?
Oh, I just asked if you wanted to pray out when we're done.
Absolutely. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time with our wonderful podcast audience, and for Sheri and I to get together and discuss these things. We ask that you just help us to stay under your command and under your word, and discerning in everything that we read and see and hear that's in our media today. God, we just pray that you keep us in a form of mind that will bring non-compliance to the people who are trying to pull us away from you, because that's really what this is all about. The further we get from you, the more we can open our hearts and minds to the evils of the world. And Lord, I just pray for everyone who is listening to this podcast right now, that they bring you into the center of everything, that they trust you, that they feel you, and that they don't allow the outside influences to take over their thoughts through all of this fear mongering, and it's starting, and we see it, and we need to put the whole armor of you on every single day and feel your presence in our lives and not allow these people to bring evil into our lives. And God, I just pray that more and more people do that. More and more people open up to you, because the stronger your army, the stronger the resistance to the evils of the world. Lord, I pray for all those out there who are sick, who are scared, that they find healing and faith through you. I pray these things in Jesus Christ. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, we will see you next week, and let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, all the algorithm things. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.